Forget the same old top attractions list. Puerto Rico is so much more than that. What you're about to hear is 100% fact-checked, verified, and undeniably real. I've dug out rare facts that will make you stop and think, how did I not know this? Buckle up, this island's full of surprises. I know there's so much more to say about Puerto Rico, but you'll find another Puerto Rico video link below and in the top right corner, and plenty more fascinating facts from other countries on my channel. I also welcome any additions or corrections in the comments. There may be small errors, despite my best efforts, and for those, I apologize in advance. Fact 1. Puerto Rico's own Olympic flag and Mónica Puig's historic gold. Although Puerto Rico is a United States territory, its athletes march under their own flag because the Puerto Rico National Olympic Committee has been recognized by the International Olympic Committee since 1948. That autonomy turned into pure sporting legend at the Rio de Janeiro Games in 2016, when tennis player Mónica Puig captured the island's first ever Olympic gold. In a gritty three-set final, she defeated Germany's Angelique Kerber, then ranked world number 2, unleashing celebrations from San Juan to the smallest barrios. It was also the first Olympic gold won by a Puerto Rican woman, amplifying the moment's cultural weight as La Borinqueña rang out in the arena. For a delegation that is small in headcount but oversized in pride, the victory affirmed a distinct national identity. Puerto Ricans can salute the stars and stripes, politically, yet still claim their own Olympic anthem, colors, and heroes on the world's biggest stage. Fact 2. Flamenco Beach's rusting tanks and the end of Navy gunnery. On the coral white arc of Flamenco Beach in Culebra, a pair of hulking, graffiti-scarred tanks sits half-buried in sand, stubborn relics of decades when the United States Navy used this shoreline for ship-to-shore practice. The Culebra archipelago served as a gunnery and bombing range from the early 20th century through the Cold War, with training peaking after the Second World War. Local resistance swelled in the early 1970s, and by late 1975, presidential orders ended live-fire exercises on Culebra. Operations shifted to nearby Vieques before ceasing decades later. Most range debris was cleared, but the armored beasts, too heavy to move economically, were left to the surf, salt, and spray, becoming an accidental open-air museum and one of the Caribbean's most surreal photo ops. Today, the surrounding lands form part of the Culebra National Wildlife Refuge, where seabirds and sea turtles nest a short walk from those oxidized monuments to history. Fact 3. Not all palms in Puerto Rico are imports. It's a common misconception that palm trees in Puerto Rico are all brought in from elsewhere. In reality, the island shelters several native palms that shape its landscapes. The royal palm, Roystonia borinquena, often called palmareal, is naturally abundant on limestone hills and valleys, and it shrugs off hurricane winds with surprising grace. The Sierra palm, Prestoia montana, carpets wet mountain slopes and feeds the Puerto Rican parrot with its fruit. And the Puerto Rico palmetto, Sabal cassiarum, is a local hat-weaving icon once common in the Southwest. What confuses people is the celebrity of the coconut palm, Cocos nucifera, which is not native. It became widespread along beaches through centuries of human movement and ocean drift, with most scholars tying its Caribbean boom to colonial-era introductions. So when you picture palms in Puerto Rico, think two stories at once: proud native species in forests and hills, and the globally traveled cocotero waving over resort sands. Fact 4. Puerto Rico's early lead in COVID vaccination, and what followed. Puerto Rico became the most vaccinated place in the United States during the primary series phase of the pandemic. By late 2021, roughly 3/4 of residents were fully vaccinated, outranking every state and territory after a rapid, community-driven rollout that leaned on local clinics, pharmacy networks, clear Spanish language outreach, and targeted mandates. That early lead mattered. It lowered severe disease and showcased a depoliticized playbook many mainland jurisdictions struggled to copy. Since then, like the rest of the country, Uptake of later boosters and the 2024 to 2025 updated shots has softened. Puerto Rico's health authority, the Departamento de Salud, continues to push seasonal vaccination, but demand reflects national fatigue. Net-net, the historical fact stands. Puerto Rico led the nation when it counted most, while today's snapshot shows high baseline coverage with more modest interest in yearly updates. Fact 5. Hidden Worlds, Guánica's Dry Forest, and Cayo, Aurora. Far from the rainforest clichés, Puerto Rico's southwest shelters the Guánica Dry Forest, a United Nations biosphere reserve since 1981 and widely regarded as one of the best preserved subtropical dry forests on Earth. Spreading across roughly 9,000 acres, nearby it holds more than 700 plant species, limestone karst ridges, and wildlife found almost nowhere else, including the endangered Puerto Rican nightjar and the island's crested toad. Trails drop from thorny uplands to pocket beaches and mangroves, showing a Caribbean that runs on drought, not deluge. Just offshore sits, better known as Gilligan's Island, a tiny mangrove kai about 1 mile from Guánica, with shallow, glass-clear channels perfect for snorkeling. Reached by kayak or small ferry, it is the forest's watery annex. Roots, seagrass, and fish nurseries thriving a short paddle from one of the hemisphere's rarest forest types. Fact 6. Puerto Rico's IVU. Why receipts look heavier than the mainland. Puerto Rico applies an island-wide sales and use tax called Impuesto Braben Tasi Uso, or IVU, set at 11.5%, 10.5% at the Commonwealth level plus 1 at the municipal level. Designated professional services and most business-to-business services are taxed at a special 4% rate, the IVU Especial, rather than the full rate. Unprepared grocery food is exempt, so supermarket staples aren't charged IVU, aligning Puerto Rico with many U.S. jurisdictions that spare basic groceries. Prepared foods sold by restaurants can qualify for a 7% reduced IVU if the establishment holds a Hacienda certificate. Otherwise, the general rate applies. Net result, everyday receipts can feel steeper than in most states because Puerto Rico's standard island-wide rate is among the highest under U.S. jurisdiction, even though crucial carve-outs, like groceries, help blunt the impact. Fact 7. A mixed units island. Metric meets U.S. customary. On Puerto Rico, you live in 2 measuring worlds at once. Road distances and exit markers are posted in kilometers, a legacy of metric adoption under Spain and later local policy. Yet speed limits are set and signed in miles per hour, following U.S. highway standards. Gasoline, you buy it by the liter, and pumps display liter prices even though many drivers still think in gallons. The result is everyday code switching. A sign might say the next town is 5 kilometers away, while the limit remains 50 or 65 miles per hour. Rental cars typically show miles per hour prominently, and maps often default to kilometers. Legally, Puerto Rico recognizes both systems, so agencies and businesses choose what fits their domain. Transportation sticks to U.S. norms for speed, while distance and fuel lean metric. It is quirky, but consistent once you know the pattern, and it is one of the island's quietly distinctive "you're not on the mainland anymore" details. Fact 8. The Mirandas, Vega Alta, Roots, Island, Film, and a hometown gallery.
Luis Miranda, a noted political strategist,
Was born and raised in
Vega, Alta, Puerto Rico.
And with his wife, clinical psychologist,
Luz Downs Miranda,
raised their son,
Lin-Manuel.
steeped in Puerto Rican culture. Lin-Manuel created In the Heights and Hamilton, then came home to star in the bilingual romantic comedy
200 cartas, 200 cartas.
also known as Looking for Maria,
Sanchez.
filmed largely around the island.
Think old San Juan backstreets and adventure parks like Toro Verde.
Back in Vega Alta, the family helped seed a small cultural hub that includes the
Galeria
Lin-Manuel,
Miranda.
a memorabilia and fan art space celebrating his projects and the island's creative pulse.
The through line is simple. A Puerto Rican family whose civic work, stage hits, and screen cameos loop back to the same hometown streets that first shaped them.
Fact 9.
The piña colada was invented in Puerto Rico.
The island's signature cocktail,
The piña colada was born in San Juan.
but who mixed the first one is still a friendly feud.
The Caribe.
Hilton credits bartender
Ramon Monchito.
Barrero with creating it in 1954 after months of testing a blend of rum, pineapple, and a then new ingredient, cream of coconut.
Across Old San Juan,
Barra China.
claims Spanish barman Don Ramon Portas.
Mean goat served his version in 1963. What most stories agree on is the breakthrough of
Coco
Lopez, the sweet cream of coconut formulated by chemist
Ramon Lopez.
E. Re. Sadi in the late 1940s and commercialized by 1954. It made the drink silky and consistent.
Puerto Rico enshrined the piña colada as its official drink in 1978, and the IBA's canonical recipe still calls for white rum, coconut cream, and fresh pineapple.
Early hotel menus suggest it was shaken before blenders became bar staples, but its tropical identity has never wavered. Sweet, sunny, and unmistakably
Boricua.
Fact 10. Flamenco Beach's repeat top 10 rankings. On the crescent of Flamenco Beach in Culebra, the turquoise water and sugar-white sand are not just postcard clichés. They are the reason this shore keeps landing on global best beaches lists year after year. TripAdvisor's Traveler's Choice crowned Flamenco third in the world in the early 2014 rankings, a headline that put this tiny isle on serious beachgoers' maps. It returned to the same global top tier in subsequent editions, 8th worldwide the very next year, and has continued to appear in elite roundups through the late 2010s and beyond. Puerto Rico's official tourism board explicitly calls Flamenco one of the top beaches in the world, and independent lists still place it among the planet's most coveted stretches of sand. What sets it apart is the near-waveless, family-friendly lagoon, lifeguards and basic facilities, easy snorkel access, and that mountain backdrop, an unusually complete package that explains why it keeps punching above its size on worldwide rankings. Fact 11. Malmite and rum royalty, Plaza Las Américas and Casa Bacardí. In San Juan, Plaza Las Américas is the Caribbean's largest shopping center, an indoor city of more than 250 stores, over 50 dining spots, and roughly 15 movie screens that draws islanders and visiting shoppers under one roof. A few miles across the bay in Cataño, Casa Bacardí anchors the other half of Puerto Rico's superlatives. The world's largest rum distillery, nicknamed the Cathedral of Rum. Tours there walk you past fermentation and aging lore, tie the bat emblem to family history, and end with a proper tasting. Proof that scale does not cancel craft. Together, they sketch a very Boricua contrast, a retail mecca where global brands mingle with local designers, and a heritage factory turning sugarcane into culture by the barrel, both standing as regional bests a short drive apart. Fact 12. Almost 300 miles of coast and nearly as many beaches. Puerto Rico sells itself short only in poetry. The tourism board cites almost 300 miles of coastline and nearly 300 beaches, a neat symmetry for an island ringed by coves, reefs, and pocket bays. That headline figure is the traveler's truth. You really can beach hop for months without repeating a spot. Technically, coastline math is slippery. The shoreline paradox means totals change with the ruler you use. NOAA's tidal shoreline method, which traces every inlet and mangrove fringe, puts Puerto Rico closer to about 700 miles of shore. Meanwhile, how many beaches depends on who's counting. The government has officially recognized roughly 248. Tourism copy rounds it to nearly 300. Some roundups claim over 300, and a few exuberant lists stretch past 1,000. Bottom line, whether you trust cartographers or sunbathers, Puerto Rico's edge is long, varied, and wildly beach-dense. Fact 13. The legal drinking age is 18 years. Puerto Rico sets its minimum legal age for buying and consuming alcohol at 18, a rule grounded in the island's alcohol code and enforced by the Negociado de Bebidas Alcohólicas of the Departamento de Hacienda. In practice, you will see two layers. First, retailers may not sell or furnish alcohol to anyone under 18, full stop. Second, many nightlife venues still choose a 21 and over door policy for entry, which is a private house rule rather than a change to the law. Drivers face a tougher standard than casual drinkers. Puerto Rico applies stricter low back limits for young drivers, a zero-tolerance approach that treats underage drinking and driving far more harshly than adult limits. The upshot for travelers and locals is simple but different from the mainland. You can legally toast at 18, yet you may need to be 21 to enter certain clubs, and you absolutely should not drive after drinking, especially if you are under 21. Fact 14. Free-roaming horses still wander Vieques' beaches and backroads. On Vieques, horses graze dunes, trot through barrios, and unhurriedly claim the asphalt, an everyday tableau that feels mythical until one ambles past your car. They descend from animals brought by Spanish colonists, with many showing the smooth-gaited Paso Fino heritage that took root in the Caribbean. Most are not truly wild. Locals often let owned, branded horses roam in free-range herds, rounding them up only when needed. Tourists love the beachside sightings, and you really do meet horses on sand and side streets alike. The population today is commonly estimated at around 3,000, a point of pride and a practical headache. Beautiful photo ops, yes, but also garden raids, road hazards, and tick problems that keep officials busy. Locals even call it Isla de Caballos, Horse Island. After the U.S. Navy closed most operations in the early 2000s, huge tracts became the Vieques National Wildlife Refuge, and management now balances conservation, recreation, and humane control tools like contraceptive darting. Fact 15. The Puerto Rican parrot, back from the brink. Called the iguaca or cotorra puertorriqueña, the Puerto Rican parrot once crashed to about a dozen birds in the mid-1970s. A rescue began in 1972 with captive breeding at the Iguaca aviary in Yunque and later at Rio Abajo, followed by releases that rebuilt a wild flock at Rio Abajo and seeded a third site in Maricajo in 2016. Then came Hurricane Maria. Before the storm, Yunque held several dozen wild parrots. Afterward, field crews found only one survivor there, an emotional gut punch. Since then, managers have doubled down on fostering and releases. By the early 2020s, federal biologists estimated around 250 wild parrots across Yunque, Rio Abajo, and Maricao, with hundreds more in managed care. Recent breeding seasons in Rio Abajo even placed captive hatched chicks into wild nests to boost survival, while the latest federal review says the species is improving but not yet ready for downlisting. In short, a living comeback story still being written. From the glowing waters of Mosquito Bay to the thundering pride of Mónica Puig Olympic gold, Puerto Rico proves it is far more than just a tropical postcard. Every beach, street, and forest here tells a story, some loud and proud, others quietly waiting for curious travelers to find them. Whether you come for the history, the music, or simply a perfect piña colada, you'll leave with the island etched in your memory. If you enjoyed these mind-blowing facts, share this video so more people can discover the magic of Borinquen. And remember, this island may be small in size, but its culture, beauty, and spirit are nothing short of world-class.